Hello again, Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, back with Malifaux and Lilith. Fair skin 09047. So Lilith is a Neverborn, specifically a Nephilim. She was one of the original masters for that faction, and now she's part of the Dead Man's Hand Pack, having been mortally wounded and thrown into the same sepulcher as Titania. So she will likely come back at some point, but as an undead. But pretty much has been another wrecking ball type master in the game, and will continue to do so. And I've had a rough couple of days. I'm behind schedule. Some weirder than usual. So I will be giving her a disturbing skin tone once I get to the shading and highlighting. But most Neverborn have the ability to shapeshift over time, so Lilith has chosen a human form to blend in and run more subtle schemes in Malifaux. She's Malifaux itself, as opposed to her sister Nakima, who takes a more monstrous form. And then, where did I put it? Dark Elf Skin 09164. This system's starting to throw a fit again. Fairly straightforward color scheme. Something interesting game-wise. So the Nephilim grow when exposed to blood and in-game. At least through first and second editions, they had a mechanic allowing them to do so, and based on wording on Lilith's third edition card, I'm assuming that ability remains similar, but yeah, wording on that was when they kill an enemy model, they can get blood to upgrade from a terror tot to a young Nephilim to a mature Nephilim. But in first edition, you could do that with your own guys. So hiring desperate mercenaries, or even using more than one player use the terror tot, or no, not the terror tot, the fur brown. The Malifaux cherub, Lilith's totem, as essentially a sacrifice to beef up a terror tot to Nephilim, to young Nephilim, to mature Nephilim. Can't do that anymore. It specifies enemy model in second edition. But one of those exploits. Don't think she's been retconned too much compared to some other characters, but okay. You know what? No, I'm not going to do this color on the boots. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm going to use something else. So, never mind. Alright. Can I do the sword? No, let's hold off on that. Okay. Come back in a bit. Alright. Next. Fire Orange 09006. And that is not mixed properly. Give me a second here. Much better. terms of mixing your paints, you can see the difference here. Improper, proper. You want it nice and smooth. Sometimes if you don't use something for a while, it will kind of separate into the mixing medium and the pigment. Something just to keep in mind. May do another layer of this later, but in fact I probably will. Sometimes it takes more than one coat. Especially when you're doing brighter colors on a darker primer, but the key is to let one coat dry before applying the second. Then plate mail metal. Just going to do one color for the sword. One thing about the Neverborn, particularly the Nephilim, is, which Lilith is, they don't like human weaponry, especially firearms, and find them uncomfortable. Preferring melee weapons, or just their bare claws and fangs. And Lilith, though technically second in line to become the queen or mother of the Nephilim, beat her sister Nekima to the throne by ensuring victory against the humans during Malifaux's first settlement, while Nekima focused exclusively on crush, kill, destroy. Now, lost track of what I was doing here. Got it. Chaotic red. This one is fairly new and needs a fair deal of mixing. One of these days I'm going to get these focus issues figured out. Putting a neutral background in front of the camera helps, but I think, well, I'll figure something out. So, that's a little thick. I'm starting to get the hang of these army painter colors, but there are still differences, and when you've been using one brand for years and suddenly start to switch, it takes a little getting used to. So, the bustier and the boots pretty much. Pretty much armored, lightly armored thigh highs, but don't know that Lilith actually has the armor ability. I have to double check the card. Okay. Alright. One more go for base coats, but I'll put a second layer of orange on the hair off camera. Okay. Violet red 09026. Which is plugged up. I can get a grip on it, just need to paper clip down the nozzle. Clear it. using just enough water to thin the paint. And getting the coat, being careful where it connects to the main body and the other colors associated or connected to that. Getting a little tongue-tied again. But I wanted one very striking color on here. Lilith solidly hates humans, but is part of the covenant with Zoraida and Pandora, and worked with them to reopen the breach, to let humans back in because she knew the tyrant's entities were returning, and that the Neverborn alone would not be enough to stand up to them. And of course, neither the Neverborn nor humanity would work together voluntarily, so Zoraida's scheme with them more involves trying to manipulate others into doing what she needs them to do. Of course, now those schemes have a very serious wrench thrown into them with the return of Titania. Getting a nice solid coat. I think before I move on to shading, I'll go ahead and pull the steel again, the plate mail metal, and pick out a few plates. But I'll do that on camera. Because there's these shoulder pads here that definitely look like they could and or should be made of metal. And a few pieces on her boots as well. Seam right along there. And that's decent coverage for the coat. Now, let's see here. Shield Brown 09161. Lilith spends most of her time out in the wilderness, raiding human settlements. Whoop, and I just lost the lid. Alright. Always make sure you keep your paints capped when not in use. It just keeps them in better shape longer. So this is more that custom sculpted basing I do. On this, I went for essentially a sort of ruined town. The bases being about half mud texture, half wood texture. So there's the wood texture half. I'll let that, since I'm doing more touch-ups with the metal, I'll let that dry before moving on. Plate mail metal again, picking out a few details on the clothing that look a bit like armor to me. I'm going to try slower, more deliberate movements on turning the model while I paint, see if that helps the focus issues. And then I'm going to try some ruddy leather. You know what? No. Woodstain Brown 09160 will do the same. I've done on other mud terrain. Being careful around the feet. Okay, that's base coat, so I want that to dry before I start shading. Time to shade. Starting with the hair, Phoenix Red 09005. And thinning with 1 part water to 1 part paint. The lid one on a little screw. I need to make sure it's okay, otherwise it'll cause problems later on. Keeping the brush wet during this and just letting it flow down. A little more pigment wouldn't hurt. Trying to soak up the excess because if I don't, it'll kind of interfere with what I'm going for on the skin tone. Let's just get the brush dry, and a little bit of that'll be fine. I just don't want too much. Blackened Steel 09205. Absorb that again there. Clean and dilute. Along the sword. Trying to let that flow in between the fingers. Refreshing is needed in this. Getting on the shoulder guards, knees, and shins. And I need to let that dry before moving on. Next, Burgundy Wine 09025. Which is plugged up, so paper clip hole. Yeah, the hair got a little out of hand, but I can fix it. And besides, with her skin tone, I'm going for something off color and kind of disturbing anyway, so it'll work in my favor. Going from the highest point of the model to the lowest, or at least that's the objective here. Being careful not to hit the steel on the shoulders or any other part that I've already shaded as. This is very dark and will interfere with what I'm trying to do. Okay. I'm going to have to just let that set for a bit. So, okay, next, Red Brick 09001. at a point where I can really only do one, maybe two colors at a time now, so... out there. This brush is getting a little too feathered to keep using for detail work, so I'll probably have to replace it soon, which happens, and all this is how you get brushes that are good for highlighting. Avoiding the metal on the knees and shin. This takes a steady hand. Okay. I'm on the toe there, and I think that's got it. So that leaves the black, the skin, and the two colors on the base, so just about there. Alright, next. Dark Elf Shadow 09163. This will be a tricky one. I'm probably going to have to redo the skin tone around the chest and face because of all the spillover, but it's also why you work from the top down on shading. Okay. And now Woodstain Brown 09160 again. And get the wooden portion of the base. And once this dries, I'll touch up the flesh and start on that last layer of shading. Alright, I've touched up the skin. Things are dry enough to work with, so let's make it look weird. Ghost White 09063. So trying to make the skin look deliberately disturbing, since in the first edition fiction, the Neverborn, at least the ones in human form, were described as having a odd translucency to their skin. And that went a little too far down. I just wanted to get the flesh, not... Alright, that I think I can work with. Right. I find this has worked reasonably well to make the skin on the Neverborn disturbing. And a little bit of matte black. With darker colors, you want to thin it out with 2 to 3 parts water per 1 part paint. Absorb a bit more of this white that got out of control. And put the black over the mud portion of the base. A little bit more of that one. Bit more of that white right there. And let that dry, and then I can highlight detail. Come on. Okay, everything's dry, so time to highlight and detail. Matte black. Oh, that's running away from me. Using the same amount of water as I'd use for a base coat, and I'm just carefully, very carefully filling in the eyes. I want dead black eyes to go with everything else. Now, switching to a dry brushing technique. Fair highlights, 09048. No water. You're going to use a ragged feather brush like this one. And rub most of the paint out on your paper towel. So it looks like there's nothing left. Just get that out of the way. And lightly dose the area to be affected. Refreshing paint as needed. Next, Marigold Yellow 09007. You want your brush to be completely dry for this, so I'm switching freely, and this needs a little more mixing. Better. I'm bracing my dominant hand with the fingers of my offhand. Next, decisions. Dark Elf Highlight 09165. Now I need a very, very tiny thin one for this. It's focusing on the most readily visible surfaces. Blood Red 09003. One of these days I'll get this focus thing figured out. Until then, I just gotta keep trying until I get it right. Pale Violet Red 09027. Now when I do this, I focus on the most readily visible areas. almost exclusively. So normally I would skip the underside of the coat, but it's visible enough. I want to get at least some of it. Trying not to hit the skin or the metal. I wound up nicking them anyway. True Silver 09207. Using a smaller brush again. Going against raised edges. Use a delicate touch here because I am concerned the sword may snap. It is a fairly brittle plastic. Okay. Let's see here. It's everything on the level for safe. Shield Brown 09161. And give the mud portion of the base a once over. Driftwood Brown 09162. And do the same for the wood. Now switching to a flathead brush, more matte black. Oh, that lead went a-flying. And just lining the edge of the base, coming as close to the, trying to get right up to the basing material or the basing insert I've done without actually getting on it. If you're using flock or other materials, you'll want to do this before applying that. And this is just cleaning it up, tidying it up. It helps make it look nice. Color choice is completely arbitrary. Always clean your tools thoroughly after use. And that is it. Lilith, Mother of Monsters. Oh, come on, focus. Well, continue with her box set next time. Until then, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.